I like to say for every hour that you spend learning is the equivalent of 3 months of experience.
If you have skills, start putting those things up online and monetizing those skills, because even if you think your job is safe, it's not.
Pain is the universe's way of getting people to make important decisions, but you should probably spend a little bit of time developing something else as well.
Learn about that industry. If you did 2 hours a day, you realize that you can do 730 hours a year of learning.
There's a lot of people out there who sort of have this mentality, and I kind of like it. I can relate to a little bit. Like, I don't care what other people think. I'm gonna do me, bro. I'm gonna do me, girl. Like, you do you. And I think that that's a little bit ignorant, but I'm gonna let you take the mic on that. All right, guys, welcome to the show. It is Stronger, Smarter, Richer with Joe Semaan. I have a super cool guest, cool dude. I met him a couple times. I'm sure he remembers every single time. Wink, wink. Dan Fleyshman in the house, or in his house, actually. And Dan is a mega entrepreneur. He's one of the youngest people in the world to take a company public. He's an investor in well over 30 companies and counting now. It seems like every time I turn around or look around at an event, somebody is trying to get Dan's money somehow, some way, shape, or form, or attention. He's what I like to refer to as a new economy thought leader. You guys know I'm really big on the new rules of the game. Every industry counts. The new economy is way different. In fact, after this recession, we may have just gone into something that I like to call the domination economy, not the new economy. And most importantly, I've learned by paying attention. You know, I'm always a skeptic in the beginning of people who are popular, especially out here on the West Coast. But I've learned, you know, over time, the consistency that and the time that and effort that Dan contributes to his charity, which is the Model Citizen Fund. Some pretty cool stuff that you guys have done. You guys are welcome to go check that out in a minute. But Dan, thanks for joining me. I know the schedule's getting crazy right now, but I appreciate you coming in, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
For sure. Now I've got like these topics outlined, and I was sitting down last night and going over it, bro. And the problem was, I was like, how about this one? How about this one? How about this one? How about this one? I just keep going. There are like dozens of topics.
Yep.
And I'm like, let me narrow it down to 7. And we're in a very unique economy right now. And, you know, I come from my biggest awakening, you know, well, I have had several, I'm sure you can relate, was after the 2008 crash, which is different in context, but similar in its financial impact on people. This one's just quicker. And so I'm going to try to, you know, I want to hone in on some of the things that are going to be most helpful to our audience right now. A couple popular topics, but a couple of things that I think are more practical for people to go to work on. So first of all, I know that you mentioned, this is something that really stuck out to me, and I talked to you about it just a few minutes ago. You mentioned in one of your interviews on how it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter whether you like social media or not. It doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur yet or not. It really doesn't matter. You have to accept the fact that you are a brand.
Yep.
That's one of the things that really resonated with me. And with that being said, there's a lot of people out there who sort of have this mentality, and I kind of like it. I can relate to a little bit. Like, I don't care what other people think. I'm going to do me, bro. I'm going to do me, girl. Like, you do you. Yep. And I think that that's a little bit ignorant, but I'm going to let you take the mic on that. So everybody's a brand, right?
So it's up to them to choose if they're going to tell their story or everybody's going to think up a story of their own. And so you are a personal brand no matter what. You could be a housewife with 3 kids in Milwaukee and a real estate agent that also does knitting, and you like to sell products online and you love soccer. But if we don't see you post about stuff, we might just think you're the housewife at home and you don't do real estate. We don't know that you like soccer. We don't know you sell hand-knitted sweaters. Mm-hmm. Because you didn't post about it on social media, we think of this. Or I heard one day, yeah, you do soccer. I don't even know you have kids. I don't know you do knitting. Like, I just know you like soccer. Mm. Instead, you could tell your story. You could show your story.
Yeah.
So I say that because if you got 1 extra client a year, would that matter? Well, for a real estate agent, if she normally sells $400,000 cribs and makes 3 to 6%, well, an extra $12,000 to $24,000 a year would be nice, right? Mm-hmm. And so having that social media, even though she's posting about soccer or custom sweaters or other things, she might get a real estate client out of it. And that is, why would you not do something that's free? Yeah. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, free, 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 and free. And so instead of people just thinking about that they know who you are, show them who you are.
Dude, I think one of the challenges that it's really not necessarily someone or something to blame, but in general, 2010 to 2019, we were in what I like to call an easy economy.
Yep.
You can kind of sell anything. You sell tea, everybody wants it. You have booty shorts, everybody wants a pair, right? It really doesn't matter. And for the large part, people relying on their looks and other types of things. When the economy tightens up or contracts, whether you're a real estate agent or that mother in Milwaukee or whatever the case may be, you start to realize, I think, that without that brand, the market's not just sending you leads anymore. There's only, that group of people that went from 100 people a month that are looking at buying homes now has just got condensed to 16.
Right.
And they're going to remember probably the person that they see or have built a relationship the most. Is that kind of what you're getting at here?
Yeah, it's also causing what's called top of mind awareness. So if you post once a day and then the situation comes up to buy from you, then it makes it way more interesting. What I mean by that is if the housewife in Milwaukee is posting once a day, and then 3 months from now, I'm talking with Joseph and we're having lunch, and he's like, oh, you know what? Think about investing in Milwaukee. It got hit by the economy. I think I can buy 4 plexes for cheap. Mm-hmm. Maybe I should go out there and buy. I'm like, oh, I know this lady. She's in Milwaukee. I see her post. I love soccer, and so I saw her post about soccer. But I know she's a real estate agent in Milwaukee. Let me connect you guys.
Who's the first person that pops up to my head? Right. Major takeaway, top of mind. Who's on the top of mind, right? So super, super cool. Okay, I get that part. And it doesn't necessarily mean that, everybody needs to be a real estate agent or everybody needs to be an entrepreneur or whatever the case may be. But I think during these transitions, it does wake people up and get them to think like, how long can I depend on this career that I have, this 9-to-5 career? I'm not saying that I want to leave it, but I do think that it does force people, like I say, pain is the universe's way of getting people to make important decisions, And I'm like, I think there's a lot of people right now starting to realize that in the new economy, you can have your job, you can have your career, you can have your benefits, but you should probably spend a little bit of time developing something else as well. So you're not such a zombie dependent on the economy. Every time the economy takes a shit, you have to shit with it. I'm seeing that realization. Another big question I have that is everywhere, is freaking everywhere. Every time I watch a YouTube video, every time you go on Facebook, every time you pop up a landing page of some type, there's somebody saying that they can teach you how to do marketing, teach you how to make money, teach you how to get on Amazon. And I can't say this guy's legit, this guy's not, this guy's legit, this guy's not, right? So from an expert, what is, a 2-step, 3-step process that I can see? Like, I'm curious, I want to get out there, but I'm so overwhelmed. Like every time I watch a music video, there's a guy selling a real estate course. Yeah. Every time I'm curious and try to learn ClickFunnels or something, there's an ad in between that talks about their program is #1 and all these people have made 6 digits, blah, 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 blah. How does the average Joe filter through that without getting overwhelmed? And what are the steps?
Right. So it's researching who you're going to buy from. So what happens is you see an ad pop up and they do a really great video and you're like, man, this person crushes it. I want you to go and actually look at their social media, Google them, and look at whatever you can read about them that's not what they're telling you. Remember when I told you the story of you telling your personal brand? Go look around and see what people are saying or thinking or doing about that person. And also think about if they've actually had success over a long period of time. So when somebody shows Amazon sales and it shows $800,000 in Amazon sales, well, they might have spent $800,000 in paid media and lost money, right? Somebody could show you $4 million in selling bottled water, $4 million in 1 month, but they might have spent $6.8 million to do $4 million because they want to show $4 million.
Where would you go to research them?
So I like to go on Google. I like to go on forums. So I like to search their name on forums and see if people are talking about them, the people that have taken their course. And really, I like to go back to the beginning. So like I'll go on their socials and I'll look 1 year, 2 year, 3 years back, 4 years back, and see what were they doing then. Were they the waitress at Denny's at that time? Okay. Was this guy the club promoter? Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But that means their career was not about something. Right? And so,
Where it's an isolated window of success of some type.
right. Can you still learn from that person? Yes. So I don't want to say that there's some people out there like Kevin Zhang, he just started a year ago and did 20 million. He's a baby, he's 23 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see the whole progression. He's posting and showing actual things in business over and over and over along the way. So even though sometimes it might be fast, he's all in. I just use that as an example that you can find certain characters. However, most people that you see ads on, you're going to realize once you look behind the curtains, they probably haven't built a big business in the past.
So I'm hearing you say you're in that moment of confusion. The bills are due. You've got 2 kids. Maybe you're a single mom. Maybe you're not. You're trying to figure out how to make ends meet. So you get emotional. You're online watching something. You kind of like are caught in the moment. Somebody pops up and starts showing you all these dollar signs and you click buy. What you're saying is slam the freaking brakes on a little bit. You can still get it done. Go take an hour or so every time you see something that you feel is appealing to you and do a little bit of research on this person to make sure there's been some longevity and to make sure there is an overwhelming amount of evidence from other sources.
That course is still going to be there in an hour or tomorrow.
Yeah,
right?
But there's a timer on it, man. It ends in
at 17 minutes. It goes away.
16 minutes. It ends in 16 minutes. Good stuff. There's a lot of things like that I'm even afraid to put on some of my marketing material because it's starting to become what I call a sales pattern.
Right.
Meaning, once a consumer sees it, thousands of times, they become
numb to it.
Yeah, they become resistant to it, which works really, really well in the verbal sales world. So let me keep going here. Economic velocity. Okay, so here we go. So things are changing at a super, super speed right now. All right, I had the opportunity to do a keynote here at Microsoft in Irvine last year. And it was on economic velocity, intellectual velocity. Basically, the rate at which the economy is changing, intellectual velocity, the rate at which the individual is adapting. And we come from a background, most of us were socially conditioned to learn at the rate that we were taught to learn in school, which I like to call 55 miles per hour. Now the economy is changing at an exponential rate. So what would be your advice on, because what I'm seeing, the income gap that they talk about everywhere, and, everybody tries to blame a political party on it. There's all these distractions, just this world of mediocre excuses of what's really happening. For me, it just means that people are not developing their skills at the rate that the new economy demands. It doesn't mean they have to be a rocket scientist. I mean, I flunked calculus and basically negotiated with my instructor just to get through school. I'm not a genius, but I do understand that in my line of work, I have to adapt and learn ahead quicker than everybody else to remain competitive. Are you seeing that in some of the industries that you work with, and what is the impact it's having on people and whether or not you're going to be successful in a year or two?
So the biggest thing is people aren't going and learning. There's so much free content. So there is the paid stuff that we're talking about. There's so much free content to become more of an expert in the space, which makes you more valuable by default. So if you're in the real estate space, let's just use an example. Mm-hmm. But now you study everything about short sales and everything about VA loans and everything about Section 8 housing, and you become an expert on some categories, you become more valuable by default in the real estate space. Mm-hmm. If you go research everything about Airbnbs and what to do now that Airbnbs are in a weird struggle, Airbnb owners are screwed because there's nobody staying there. If you go become an Airbnb real estate expert by literally just studying everything, there's so much free content, studying everything about what to do if you owned an Airbnb property, or worse, you own 13 Airbnb properties and now there's no such thing as Airbnb for the month because nobody's traveling. And so when I say that is you becoming more valuable as a person during this time is by studying. And so if you can study things in a niche, so not just real estate because there's a zillion real estate agents, not just fitness because there's a ton of fitness, is a niche within fitness or a niche within real estate or a niche within a niche within an industry, you become exponentially more valuable where somebody might hire you as an overall real estate agent or an overall fitness person or overall in the cannabis space. But if you know everything about CBD or you know everything about fitness training for moms or you know everything about short sales, you now become more valuable and it doesn't take away from your overarching fact that you do real estate or cannabis or fitness.
How do you try to prepare for market change?
So we will be in a recession, and there's some parts that are going to get tragic, and some parts are actually going to go up a lot. And so it's interesting because we're in a fantastic scenario where, like you said, it's not 2009, it's not 1999. We have the internet. We have a lot of ways to make supplemental income that didn't exist before. So 2008, you didn't have ways to Airbnb. Let's say you had a house now and you can't make your payment. Well, you didn't have a way to Airbnb out your garage and your extra bedroom before. Now at least you can have some extra income. Mm-hmm. You weren't able to rent out your car like you can now and actually loan out your car in exchange for money. You weren't able to do online tutoring because you're really good at Spanish and you can teach people in Spanish or guitar or piano. There's ways for people to make money even in this scenario. I'm actually doing a whole video about this because it's so important. If you have skills, start putting those things up online and monetizing those skills, or at least build your personal brand for free for those skills to make extra income. Mm-hmm. Because even if you think your job is safe, it's not. We didn't expect household name companies to crash, major chain stores to go away. We didn't expect these things, and by default, you're going to see whole strip malls go away, whole malls go away. When college campuses go away in a lot of cities, 2,200 college campuses went away last year with no pandemic. Imagine this year when people finally realize, wow, 35 grand for school is expensive. Yeah. And so what happens is if a college campus goes away, it's a tragedy for everybody within 5 miles. The restaurants, the coffee shops, the dry cleaner, everybody is affected in that area. So we are going to have a recession by default, regardless if we get back to work in 2 weeks or not. So because of that, you have to think about for your business or your industry, one, is it safe? Most of them are not. Two, what do you do if it does go away or your company goes away? And three, are you prepared to act immediately or beforehand? What I mean by that is immediately if somebody says, hey, you work for Century 21, it's closing today. Or hey, you work for 24 Hour Fitness, we're closing today. I know you're the general manager, but we're closing. Are you prepared to go work for Bally's or Gold's Gym or Equinox immediately? Or did you already have your application sent to them and you're already in process just in case? And so I'm just telling people, I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist. We are in a situation where the economy is going to have a major change. There's no guessing. There's no wondering. It's not a political thing. I don't talk about politics. It's just math. So because of that, what can you do to be prepared? Because you can't sit on the floor and cry about it. You have to be prepared.
So let's get into this because this is, I find myself taking my own experience for granted. I say that directly to my clients. Today, I'm mentoring 4 companies online, 3 of them huge. And I often say these things to them, and then I remember that those ideas were not a part of my everyday life before. So can you give people a heads up? Like I talk about this accelerated learning. You have to have accelerated learning if you want to provide for your family and have a good lifestyle down the road. So what is Dan's routine, or what do you tell some of your employees or your students or your loved ones to do? What is the routine for learning?
Yes. So it's when it's quiet, meaning if you try to learn at 12:42 p.m. and your phone's going off and you've got stuff to do and you're not going to learn. You're just not there. You have to be all in when you're focused on it. Your phone has to be upside down or preferably on the other side of the room, and you got to be in it. It's tough, right? Because we're addicted to it. We got to look at our phones, right? We're triggered to look at our phones. And so even when I say that, everybody's thinking about it, and your eyes went down to your phone. What
about the guy and the girl who are, one's working during the day, one's working at night. They take turns taking care of the kids, especially I work with a lot of sales teams, and there's a lot of this going on. And then you got to pick them up from here, or we're not right now, but then there's dinner, then there's this. What is the communication? What is the level of discipline that has to happen for a person to finally say, I need 35 minutes, a couple nights a week to go work on X or go work on Z? What is the formula for you? A lot of the people that you've partnered with and that you mentor have huge families, sometimes own multiple companies, have children, stay in shape, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have people who don't have all those responsibilities, only a handful of them, making a ton of excuses. Is there a simple, like just do this?
Yeah, they most of those people schedule their time, even their family time. So they're saying Wednesday, 7 p.m. is date night. Thursday at 10 a.m., I'm going to hang out with my kids.
Right.
Will they also hang out with their kids and see their wife along the way? Of course. But they will literally schedule it in so it doesn't go away. It doesn't get superseded by another meeting, another podcast, another meeting. Those are super easy to fill in over and over and over, day and night.
Got it.
They will literally say Wednesday, 7 p.m., date night. And that does not change unless something major happens, because that is scheduled in the same way that an important meeting is scheduled Wednesday at 7. The same concept. You have to treat it like that.
Sure.
So, but also clear communication. If you are in a transition, which everybody is, the whole world is. I'm sitting here right now on my couch instead of my office. If you are in a transition, which most people are, you need to be clear with whether it's your kids, significant other, business partners, friends, staff, whoever, what you need. So if you want to be learning for 1 hour a night, well, every night at 9 p.m. from 9 to 10, don't let anybody talk to you. Doesn't matter who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Just go pick a different room. I don't care if you sit in the bathtub and you have just hide. You have to hide and dive into your computer and just learn about that industry. If you do 2 hours, I prefer 2 hours than 1. If you did 2 hours a day, you realize that you can do 730 hours a year of learning.
Yeah.
That's a month of learning.
Especially for for a lot of the sales pros, I tell them, like, when you're in the game, like, you never see athletes running around the field looking at their playbook. Like, they're spending dozens and dozens and dozens of hours, and then you see them for that 30 minutes on TV. Like Michael Jordan said, he goes, what did you do? How did you do that? He's like, I'm not thinking about it. He's like, I'm just reacting to things that I've practiced thousands and thousands of times. And I feel that people think learning, this is deep, but you're going to be like, I get it, Joe. People think learning is a form of punishment because you grew up for 18 years. Did you do your homework yet? Where are you going? What's the grade? What'd you get on the test? Dude, when I went to school, you could still get swatted. Does anybody even know what that is?
Yeah.
It's like bend over, bam. And your grades were posted on the wall for every test.
Yep.
So if you got a D, everybody knew. It was like true accountability. So then, if you weren't, because, as a kid, like for me, I wasn't good at every topic. I was only good at a few. But I was being made to look like a failure in 80% of my courses. And if you do that for 18 years to somebody, now they're resistant to learning.
Sure.
So to me, it's a phenomenon why people are like, we need to make more money. We need to do this. We need to do that. And then literally the same day, there's no learning that happens. And so I like to say, for every hour that you spend learning is the equivalent of 3 months of experience. Like every hour, maybe even more in some cases. And I've seen your organization do it at like lightning speed. And I'm like, there's a formula for this. What I hear you saying is communicate it to your loved ones that it needs to happen ahead of time so nobody gets pissed off. Set designated times that you feel that you can adhere to on a consistent basis. Pick the topic in context of whatever you said, like whatever your skill is or whatever your industry is or wherever you feel you can add value, and become a person of mass, basically unarguable value in that area.
Yep. Very
cool. Big one I have. This is a little bit more recent. What are your thoughts on, and has this even crossed your mind? I don't even know if you entertain these types of topics, but there seems to be more social media censorship going on right now than ever before. Yep. Do you see it? Are you concerned about it? And what do we do?
Yeah, so I definitely see it. There's certain words that you use or certain things you say in a video that are automated to be censored. Either they can constrict the reach, which is called throttling, meaning like, let's say you normally get 1,000 views. Now you get like 100 or 50 or none. Mm-hmm. Throttling can happen when you use certain keywords. That could be political, that could be suicide, that could be drug related. There's certain words that they will throttle your reach, and that's it. There's nothing you can do about it. Bullying.
How do you research that?
What's that?
How do you research that?
They don't post about it. They don't talk about it.
Great. So who do you got to kidnap then?
Right. And then same thing happens on sales. So if I post a YouTube link on Facebook, guess what? Facebook's not going to show my content because they hate YouTube. If I post a Twitter link on Facebook, guess how many likes I'm going to get? Like, seriously, 0 to 6 likes. If I normally get a couple hundred or a couple thousand, nobody will see it. Because if you post cross-platform links They just won't do it. They won't allow it. So you have to think about what you're posting and where, and is it applicable to that social media platform. When you post on Instagram, if you post the word sale, discount, 20% off, link in bio, all those type of words, throttles your reach. So I don't care if you're Beyonce, you normally get 1 million likes, you're going to get 56,000. It's not a thing. They're just not going to show it because they want you to pay to show things that are business or sales related. So right now, we're in a very interesting scenario. Facebook and Instagram do a lot of that. You're not seeing that happen on TikTok and Twitter, LinkedIn. Doesn't really happen.
Who knew? Yeah.
But on Facebook and Instagram, they are throttling the reach. They will sometimes just make it at 0. I have posts that literally get 0 to 4 or 5 likes. Yesterday, I have a post that got 4,800 shares on a personal Facebook page. So I think it's like 22 million people saw my post yesterday on a personal Facebook page with 5,000 people because it's capped. The day before I posted something, I got 4 likes. So Facebook decides whether everybody sees it, because what I posted yesterday was like some relevant, interesting thing. The day before, it was something about business that they didn't want people to see because it had a link in it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've experienced that too. It's crazy. It's basically, for me, it's just go pay to play or shut up.
Yep.
In my business, because it's very businessy. It's not super popular. It's not super sexy. I'm really sexy, but my business is not so sexy. I'm sure you understand.
Yep.
So, I mean, that makes sense. Now, there's also censorship going on that's way beyond that, from like a political, like there are people right now reporting that they're taking down YouTube videos because of political views.
Yep.
They're taking down all of this stuff. And there's sort of this concept of, are we in a state of the world where slowly taking away some of our freedom is going to become necessary or natural? What's your take on that?
So in China, if we fly over there, not just right now, but a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago,
right,
our phones won't let us log in to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. So could that happen in the US? A version of that could. In China, they're just used to it. So there hasn't been this big uprising against it. In the US, there would probably be a pretty significant uprising if that were to happen.
Yeah.
However, it's already soft happening. Facebook's already doing that. You post something in the political world, it can decide if it wants to remove it or throttle it. And so there is nothing we can do about that. Facebook is a free platform. And so Zuckerberg can do whatever he wants. And
he's like, it's my house. Yep. If I want this person to leave, this person's leaving.
Yeah. You got to take your shoes off. You got to.
Because from my perspective, it was like, dude, you're violating my constitutional right. This is supposed to be a public domain. This is my profile. But in actuality, no, he owns my profile.
He does.
Right? That's really what it is. And when you sign up,
and everything about your profile, and everything your profile's ever done in history.
Damn.
It's tough because it feels like Facebook is for the people or Instagram is for all of us. They're a business. And I hate the algorithm more than anybody in the world because I spend $60 million on Instagram posts. And so I need the reach to be more. I would get more budgets. Everybody would make more money. It would be great for the economy. If I could spend more money, I'd provide tens of millions of dollars to people. So I could provide hundreds of millions if the algorithm was better. So I think I'm one of the number 1 people on the planet that wants the algorithm to be better. And by being better, I mean non-existent. Right. If it was just in chronological order and everybody that followed you saw your stuff, everyone would be happy the way it was. The reason that it should be that way is we all optionally follow people. Nobody forced us to go follow you. Nobody said you have to go follow Joseph. That's not how it worked. Dan wanted to click follow, and I want to see Joseph content. If I don't, I can mute it. If I don't, I can slide by it. I don't need Daddy to tell me that I shouldn't see it because I didn't like and comment every single time Joseph posts, right? They think that we want to see only what we like and comment on. Not true. There's plenty of content that I'm never going to like or comment on that I want to see. I'm not going to like and comment on Kylie Jenner's post. I still want to see it. I want to know what she's up to. I'm not going to like and comment on my competitor's post. I definitely want to see that my competitor's post. I'm never going to like and comment on my competitor's post. I still want to see it. I want to know what they're up to.
Yeah.
And so it's fascinating how they're so smart that they don't realize how dumb it is.
It's funny you say that because I'm have just normal friendships with people all over the country. some of our mutual friends, people who are, let's just call them sales gurus, right? The big boys. I always see them watching, but not saying.
Of course.
You know, so I take it as a compliment personally. And I also love and appreciate those people for some of the things that they've done. But I see it happening all the time, what you might call like just friendly lurking happening. And engagement happens when you really hit home with somebody, when something really resonates. I'm noticing, and I need to practice that. I'm one of the people who waited too long. I got dependent on my local business. I'm busy. I'm popular here in Orange County. You know, I'm back to back to back all day long on the road, visiting 3 to 5 companies a day. And had I had my online curriculum and university and everything already completed, I would have hit the ground running right now. So I am in a bad example of some of the things that we're talking about. Here's another thing I wanted to ask. For the thousands and thousands of people who have been relying on, let's just say, sexiness, right, to sell, to be popular. What advice do you have for this in a contracting economy? This is a really important topic because I have some really good friends who are very good-looking guys, very good-looking girls who are able to get money from pretty much any sponsor they want. What's happening now, and what are these people going to have to do? What's going to have to become of them in order to continue their success?
One, they need to build up their other platforms. You can't depend on a platform like Instagram if it's contracting the reach each year, now every quarter. Well, you can't depend on that because what happens if it goes away? So building up your audience on other platforms, building up your email list because email converts highest. You're going to be able to build up texting soon, depending on who you are. Right now, some of the big texting platforms have a big wait list. But at some point, most influencers will be able to have a texting platform, or you can just get another phone number if you have to. It's better to have a texting platform. You have to have other ways to communicate with your audience, not just be all in on one platform. And have to figure out what is your other value besides looks. So you need to be in a niche. I pay influencers that are good looking. I pay them a much less rate compared to somebody in a niche with the same exact size following. Because if this girl has 1 million and she's just great looking, and this guy has 1 million, just great looking, but this one has 1 million and focuses on pets and posts videos and pictures about pets all the time. Well, guess what? Their rate is going to be 2, 3, 4, 500% higher than them. Not a little difference. And so if this person over here is 1 million and they're on about fitness, and now some water company says, hey, I want to pay an influencer. I'm going to pay $1,000 here, $500 here, $1,000 here, and then boom, $4,000 here. Because this is a fitness influencer that has 1 million followers that I know their followers care about water, right? And so understanding that the people care what this guy or girl is consuming and putting in their body, the good-looking person, they may or may not have that same feeling.
So find your niche. Find your niche. And focus on that, because what I see is a lot of repetitive behavior. You know, like I said on a podcast one time, I said, how many times can I watch someone do lunges on the beach? Right. You know, like how many times can I possibly see that before I'll check it out for a second, but I'm super passive about it. Yep. Just shoot, and so forth. You know, how many times can I see somebody, you know, dance around, flex a bicep or shake their booty and take a drink out of a drink before am I really going to form a loyalty to that? Or is it just the concept of repetition, like other brands? So I'm trying to pay attention to these things because I'm seeing them happen in every industry. It's just fun to talk about this particular industry. Yep. Right. In a show, especially mine. Attention grabbing. Let's say there's 1 million videos in my industry claiming A and claiming B. How do I get people's attention?
Yeah, so you need what's called a pattern interruption. So let's say you're posting a selfie, you're posting lunges on the gym, you're posting a selfie, you're posting with your dogs, and then boom, now you're posting content that is a video that is either funny, interesting, something that causes them to react to it, not just your normal content throughout the week. That pattern interruption video or photo will stand out and will have the most engagement and will make people think about you, top of mind awareness. What I mean by that is you can't have a pattern interrupting video every single day because that's, one, it's just too hard to make that kind of great content all the time. But two, then it becomes the boy who cried wolf. Because if you do those things every single day, we're not that excited anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so thinking about what is that content once or twice a week that does stand out. So you'll see on mine, I'll do business, event, wife, business, and then boom, some funny, like crazy video of me in the quarantine.
Random, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That quarantine video I did last week gets 5 times more engagement because everybody's like, what the heck is that? Right? They're normally seeing me up on stage doing business talk.
Right.
Now I'm wearing a hazmat suit, like being silly.
Yeah.
And so if I did that every day, nobody would care because I can't be funny every day and I can't be business guy every single day. And so you want to think about what is that thing for you to make it stand out. If you're normally doing lunges on the beach, do that. But one of the times make a video where your puppies are on your back when you're doing push-ups and make it stand out. And so just thinking about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and then adding in elements to make it stand out sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like me, I'm so passionate, so romantic about what I teach that sometimes you make the mistake of thinking people are going to be interested in this every single day, and it's predictable.
Yep.
Like there are some people who have said, dude, I literally go to your page because I need to hear it. And then there are other cases where they're like, even my friends will like, when we're out, we're having a drink or something, they'll like mimic me because they have my patterns memorized. It's their way of telling me it's the same, saying that one of my best friends is the most famous photographer in the world. And he's like, can you please stop posting videos in your car? He's like, can you do something more exciting? So I get the pattern answer. Now, the funny thing is I teach that in sales, but I forget it in social. And I think that's happening. A lot of things that we know are natural, we know are entertaining, we know that we would be more attractive, but we forget because we get stuck. We get stuck in our own head and maybe even overcomplicating or trying to be too professional all the time. Here's something that I like to finish on. And you mentioned something real key there. Like everybody sees this, ask Dan for advice, ask Dan for advice. I've literally watched you at events before, and sometimes I don't even come up and say hello because you're just bouncing from one group trying to get your attention to the next group. And for me, it looks like you're trying to figure out within 2 to 3 minutes, is there any value here or do I bounce to the next group? I'm sitting back and observing, but here's something that I ask a lot of guests to take it off, a little pattern interrupt for you. Fun fact about Dan Fleyshman that not many people would ever know or even believe. Fun fact about Dan Fleyshman, nobody would know or believe.
I used to teach magic tricks at school every morning at 8 a.m. I had a class, like a hobby class every day for 4 years, and it was named after me, and it still is 20 years later.
Are you serious?
I was obsessed with magic.
You teach people magic tricks? Yep. Like how to make their money disappear?
No. I was in middle school. I had this little magic club, and every morning we'd all meet there an hour before school, and I would teach magic tricks.
Wow. And how old were you at that time?
I was in middle school. It's like 13, 14, 15.
Dude, I totally feel it. I almost got suspended in the 4th grade for selling more candy out of my locker than the lunchroom was selling after lunch.
That was my main business.
I was selling it by the piece instead of by the packet.
Yeah.
Kids could afford it more.
My main business was I had candy in my backpack, but I had teachers and I had them set up a box at their classroom, and every Friday I'd pick up the money from them. And I didn't give them any money in exchange. I let them take 1 candy bar per day to the teacher as their payment. And I had this going at 5 different classes. Even teachers that weren't my teachers were selling candy for me.
Got it. Classic. I figured it was going to be a story like that and so forth. I should have figured. Dude, thanks for hopping on, man. It's pretty cool to have, somebody, at your level of success in what you do come on such a young show. Anybody who knows me knows that my business has been around for a long time, but I think a lot of people are discouraged from launching new shows because they feel that they won't be able to get, any attention or any clout. Right. And I think it's just the opposite. Any advice for them in closing? Yeah,
it's social proof. You go get that person. And when I went in the retail store side, I would go and say, look, I'm already in 7-Eleven and Costco. How many drinks would you like to order? And I never was selling. I was using social proof that I'm already in their competitors. If you have a podcast and you're like, hey, I want to go get Andy Frisella and Ed Milet and Gary Vee, you're like, I already had Dan Fleyshman and this person. It makes what's called social proof, where they can see that you've already done some things that are either in line with them or close to them or et cetera, or above them, that makes them compelled to want to do it, because nobody wants to be first, right? They're all afraid to be first. And so if you can show, look, my beverage product is already in the store, or my t-shirts are already available at this clothing store, it makes people feel comfortable. So if you can do that and start a podcast or any type of business and show, I already do this, or I've already gotten this person, that'll give you an easier in to get in with them.
Well said. I feel like really all you're doing was going out and making new friends and having conversations like we would have had anyway.
Yep.
About, the stuff that really matters. Dude, I appreciate your time. I will let you do your thing. I'll be in touch with you. Thank you so much. If anybody has any questions or comments for Dan, you can reach him on Instagram. His tag is @Dan Fleyshman. You can't miss it. He's right there. Tons of advice online. He has tons. He's been a guest on tons of shows on YouTube and continues to do so at an alarming rate. So reach out if you would like to hear more advice from him or get in touch somehow with his organization. Dan, thanks for your time, dude.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Take care now.